The end of the 16-day shutdown has received mixed reviews from the international community. China, America's biggest creditor, is unhappy over the debt deal. The state-run Xinhua news agency said that, quote, the U.S. has done nothing substantive but postpone the final bankruptcy of global confidence in the American financial system. For a closer look, we're joined live by Cao Can. He is a professor at Renmin University and the author of the book, The Dollar Apocalypse. Professor, thanks for joining us here on the show. First, I'd like to get Beijing's reaction to this short, limited nature of the U.S. debt deal.
Well, unlike most analysts in the U.S., I believe a lot of Chinese view this latest act as an indication of America's continuing fiscal irresponsibility because by raising the debt ceiling, it allows America to go further into debt instead of holding the American politicians accountable and requiring to make some tough choices, because it's very easy to just raise the debt ceiling and accumulate more debt. But this debt accumulation basically presents more problems than it solves, because eventually, it will come to a point where America cannot even service the interest on the debt payments. That's why I wrote in my book, The Dollar Apocalypse, back in 2011, that the American Treasury debt does not deserve the safe haven status. But the perception has always been that the American Treasury is the safest asset in the world. And I think this latest debacle would actually bring the perception closer to reality.
Well, do you think that the U.S. could still be seen as a safe or even a good investment at this point?
Well, I think most people would eventually believe that it's not a safe investment, because today the American national debt is about $17 trillion. And the only reason that the American government can service the debt is the interest rate is very low. The interest rate on the 10-year bond is less than 3%. Now, if we see a doubling or tripling of the interest rate, which is very reasonable given the uncredited worseness of the American government, then the Greek moment would eventually arrive upon the U.S. And the U.S. would have two options then. Either they would declare bankruptcy and default honestly, or Ben Bernanke or Janet Yellen would do another bigger round of quantitative easing to basically default by inflation. But either way, the Chinese holdings of the Treasury debt will be wiped out.
I want to ask you about these upcoming deadlines. Do you think China is optimistic, or exactly the opposite when looking ahead to the next few months, when the U.S. is back in the same situation again?
Well, I think the Chinese have been very familiar with this kind of brinksmanship. So I think they would expect this to happen again probably by next February, because the political leaders on Capitol Hill cannot reach any sort of substantive consensus with regard to the size and role of the government, because they really need to make some tough choices. Either they order their promises to foreign creditors in China and Japan and make them whole by paying the principal and interest, or they have to make dramatic reductions in entitlements, Social Security to domestic Americans. This is the tough choice they have to make, and I don't think they have come to grips with this green reality.
All right, Professor Cao Can, we appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining us from Beijing.